Hey guys, Neil here again from RepRap Phase, doing another tutorial for the Prusa Mendel. This is going to be the second half of the installation of your Z-axis. For this part of the installation, you're going to need your already installed or your already glued on X-axis. You're going to need a spirit level, a spring if you decide to use the spring tensioned Z-axis, which I really suggest. 2 to 4, or you're going to need 2 springs. You're going to need 2 to 4 bolts of your M8 or your 5/16. You're going to need your 2 rod clamps or shaft couplers. You're also going to need a set of pliers, and that should be about it. Oh, and your motor. I'm missing. There it is. So you're going to need your motor, and you're going to need your 210 millimeter threaded rod, which is right here. And that's going to be about it. So with this one, what you're going to want to do is, first thing, you're going to take your bolt. Now, one thing that you run into in the United States, I don't know if it's international, but with an SAE 5/16 bolt, they're allowed about a millimeter play on the outside of the bolt. The SAE Mendel is actually sized for the largest possible version of the bolt, because it's really hard to actually shave a bolt, or shave the holes for the bolt. So if you end up having a small bolt and there's a little bit of play in it, you don't want that extra play. So what I did was just wrap the outside of it in some electrical tape. So first thing you're going to want to do is take your bolt and put it on the underside of your motor or idler. I went ahead and done the motor side, so there's no reason for you to see the same thing twice. So you put your bolt underneath there. Then you take your spring, but you want to go ahead and make sure that whenever you put the spring on, that it is not really tight against your threaded rod. You drop that in there. Then you take your other bolt, you drop it in the hole. Again, you want this to be snug but not tight. You then take your 210 millimeter threaded rod, you stick it in there, tighten it down. You're going to want to screw it in until, give it a little bit pressure down so the spring is slightly compressed. This actually is a design feature. The compressed spring here is something that Prusa actually picked up from the Bits from Bytes Rat Man, because the Darwin design was known for jammed up Z-axes, and Bits from Bytes Rat Man came up with the innovation of having spring tension Z-axis. And the spring tension will actually allow it to go to continue on if there is an issue with binding. Hopefully we won't have that issue, but nothing's perfect, especially in RepRap. So you're going to tighten this down until it's about halfway, one side to the other. You're going to take your rod couple, or your rod couplers. You're going to set it on top of the Z, slide it down. You're going to take your motor, and you're going to put it in. What you're going to do is actually turn your threaded rod back up. Let's show you here. See it? Sure, I'm going to wind it back up. So it goes in the hole. Wind it up as far as it'll go until it's just starting to lift the motor. See how the motor lifted there? Wind it back down. And then what you're going to do is tighten these 2 screws. Put it back up here. Tighten these 2 screws down. Now you want them tight, but of course you don't want to break the RP part. So one of those where you have to balance the idea of tightening the ever-living heck out of it, but not breaking it. So if you break it, we'll say it's your fault. If it's too loose, you'll know because you'll be losing Z steps. So either which way, go ahead and tighten it down to the rod. And then tighten down the top one, which is for the bolt or for the motor. Now with both these, because I use really cheap plastic and because I printed these on a MakerBot, there's a little bit of a spooge issue on the inside of all my prints. So I actually had to take a 5mm drill bit to the inside of the motor shaft and a 5/16 drill bit on this side to actually get them to fit. But if everything works right, you should be able to take a flathead screwdriver. If you have a motor that has an open top like this, you should be able to put your flathead screwdriver right there and then it not turn separately. It doesn't, so it's good. If you have a two-headed, then you would just grab it with a set of pliers and make sure that it's a nice tight fit. So once you have that, your Z-axis is now hooked up. What you want to do is take your spirit level and you want to wind until your Z-axis is level. And you now have a Z-axis. That's pretty much all that you have to do for this part. Next we will be installing the X-axis and the X-axis motor, and we will be done with the Cartesian bot.